Hello, hello, folks. It is with a heavy heart that we are doing the Mr. Josh podcast. I am MisterJoshW. That's the hat. Making America great again. Make America great again. I am here, Space Coast Podcast Studios. I'm with Jesse, my friend and my engineer, and somebody who probably is as upset as I am with the news and where we stand. It is Friday, November 6th, and thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. So we're going to jump right into the election, the stealing of a democracy, I guess, the stealing of a vote. I get a little boisterous on this podcast, and I think I'm going to try to refrain from that today because I'm very mad, but I'm more sad. It's not Donald Trump just represents the ideal. I'm not necessarily. I mean, Donald Trump is not off-putting to me, but I'm thicker skinned maybe, and I have I know big city life. I know people that act like this guy. I've met people that are not with his money or what have you, but like this guy doesn't bother me. And it was always about the policies, man. It was about where his heart was. For me, it was always about what this guy wanted for America, and it's amazing. I'm getting choked up, but I also cannot control my emotions. So this is all real and genuine. And I'm going to actually cry fucking explaining this. I was a liberal anyone that knows me knows this. I was a liberal for many years. I mean, I followed politics so closely and current events so closely my whole life. Way before other people did. Way before other people. I was a conspiracy theorist way before other people. Pre-internet, I read this stuff. I was just into this stuff. The same way other people were into baseball cards. And I was into that shit too. And movies and whatever your distractions were. This was a distraction for me. So I feel that I speak about this in a different way than other people. Politics, for a lot of people, they're new to the game, especially young people. For a lot of people, it's new to them because it's one thing that a lot of people didn't pay attention to. So why I'm getting upset and what I'm trying to explain and what I guess I'm trying to get to is that this is bigger than Donald Trump. This is bigger than Donald Trump. He's just the guy, he's just one man who tried to knock this train off the tracks of what's been happening or what's for like 40, 50 years, what we're working our way toward. And it's right, if Biden, it does indeed win, it's just right back to business as usual. You got your guy in. You got, another slick talking liar, a career politician. I thought that's what we were against. It's a big reason why people put Trump in. I thought we were against career politicians. I thought we hated that. Why do we like this guy? Why did we? And we're going to go into Hunter Biden and all that too. What the laptop? Maybe in the second half we'll split this into kind of two subjects. But why does anyone like this guy? Hillary Clinton, I get it. I mean, she wasn't likable, but she had a strong personality, and women rallied around her, and I can get the fever. I'm totally against it, but I can get the fever. But there is no fever for Joe Biden. This is a lie. There's no way this many people came out because they hate Trump or because they wanted. It's not feasible that more people came out for Joe Biden than Barack Hussein Obama. It's just not feasible. And no one should believe that. I don't care how much you hate this guy. I don't care how much all the sides hate this. People, I don't think people, all right, so people voted like a 55% clip. This country, 45% of people don't vote. Of about 400, 400 million including children, but let's say a solid 250 million adults. I think maybe that's a fair number. of which 45% don't vote. So it's not like something everybody does. So my fear, the concern here is where things are going to go. And I listen to Alex Jones. Alex Jones is probably as big a mentor for the formulated money way of thinking as anybody. And this guy's painting a dire picture. And it is dire. We've sold our soul to China. Trump was trying to stop that. I mean, anybody that just pays attention to this shit should understand that. That wasn't a bad thing. We put the tariffs on these guys. We're doing what we needed to do. They are a global superpower trying to be number one. Why doesn't anyone understand that if we're number one, which we are, we have to stay perched there forever if you want to live the life that you want to live? We can't be 3, 4, or 5. I don't think you understand that. China's vying to be number one. It's like there's a battle out there in global politics and global positioning. Like they're, in other countries, it's not even an option for them. So they're not in that fight. Russia's trying, but economically, Russia can never be there. They don't trade with anyone like that. It's oil or nothing. And there's plenty of other places you can get oil, including this country now, which is the number one. We have the most oil in the world. So we're back. China's going to, do your research. Go and Google, see how many companies China has bought in this country. See how many politicians that China has in their pocket. They have the money, man. Russia don't have the money. Russia has nukes. Russia has they have no power to push anybody around except maybe in their territory. And that's just because of a geographical situation. Russia can't boss nobody around, man, except when it comes to war. Not economically or financially in any way. China can. They're the ones with the money. And again, that leads right back to the Hunter Biden, because it's this guy's dirty dealings in China. But anyways, the election has happened, and here we are. So, yeah, I'm very concerned where this is going. I don't think, this guy's not going to win. So if Joe Biden is going to be declared the winner, I think some media outlets already are. We can look that up in a second to see which ones are declaring him. But Joe Biden, more than likely, without a serious fight, recounts Supreme Court. This is going to get dragged out. I think, if you remember, we had talked about this before, and I hit this right on the head. I hit this right on the head, and I'm not happy that I did that. I wish I was wrong. I'm not happy about being right about something bad. That's like predicting someone's fucking car accident and they really get hit and killed. Are you happy you predicted that? Way to go. Kudos to you. No. We knew we weren't going to get the result that night. So let's talk about that night. And by the way, Jesse, I don't know how much of that night you stayed up or what you did. We didn't get to talk about that much before getting on here, but chime in at any point with anything that you noticed or saw about election night. I did happen to watch it on Fox News. I had Crowder on one thing and Alex Jones on another. So I was watching on multiple things, but I wanted to, Crowder wasn't going to show you the graphics. I wanted to see the graphics that you needed, to see like on these things. So Fox News, obviously, nobody declared. So the first problem you saw was no one was declaring Florida or Texas. They would. So Biden led from bell to bell. Yeah, from bell to bell, Biden led this. You know that, right? Whereas Hillary and Trump flip-flopped. They had some flip-flopping. From bell to bell, Biden's led. So they wouldn't announce those for the longest time. And once they dropped California in and those other states that closed, this is a mind manipulation too, by the way. This is so that people decide whether they're going to go and vote or not in person. It's a discouraging factor. That's voter suppression as much as any, is how you're reporting it to people, which Nevada was very guilty of as well as Arizona in the little game that they were playing. So they don't declare Florida and Texas. Florida, he overwhelmingly won. Everyone's mad about, by the way, mad at Florida, mad at the Cubans. The Hispanic community is really getting it. And it goes to show you how easily, and by the way, the Hispanic community, folks, this is, if you want to be mad at white people, if you want to be mad at these folks that are, or these other, your other Spanish brothers and sisters that are, they're now playing the same black card of, well, you ain't black. If you voted for Trump, you ain't black. Well, they're definitely calling out the Latin community as well and questioning. John Leguizamo had a comment. We'll find that on some of this stuff that we'll scroll through. But yeah, Florida went overwhelmingly for Trump. We've learned. So all right, I'll get to that point in a second. So, and then you hear about Pennsylvania, and then this is what's crazy. They just said they're stopping. They're stopping. Philadelphia is like, we're closing up for the night. It's 10 o'clock. Imagine that. Imagine that in the United States of America, on our fucking election night, they are going to stop counting votes. And I said to somebody, if you can open a McDonald's and make sure that that's open for 24 hours a day and staff it, you should be able to do that with our voting. I mean, am I crazy that how is then on God's green earth that can happen?
I listen, Nevada has no excuse. Casinos are dead. There's nobody there. Mm-hmm. So you have all these dealers who normally are doing what? They're counting at very fast paces. They're counting cards, they're counting dice, they're counting all kinds of points. They're really dealing with the chips. These people are geniuses. I mean, I see them working a craps table. I can't keep up.
Right.
But these people know exactly how much he won, what that pays, how much Johnny got. I mean, it's ridiculous. And then they're doing and then she's taking 20 from Johnny, giving you 100 from his stack, so that pays me, comes out of him, that pays the house as well. You know what I'm saying? And they're doing all this table payments. It's a razzle dazzle of comprehension. So you have all these unemployed dealers. Yeah. They would have been
where give them some work.
They would have been great at counting ballots.
The fact that there are states that don't even begin counting them till they're all in makes no sense. What is the point of that? Is that a security issue?
Why are there exemptions? I didn't know states were exempt from doing what every other state did. All right. Florida's. I mean, I'm so proud of our system. We got it done in a day. Okay, yeah. I think 2000 may have taught us a lesson with the hanging chads and everything else.
Right.
But now, third largest economy, third largest population, and we get it done on time.
Yeah, it absolutely makes no sense. By the way, side note, of the contested states that are still going on, and I'm going to pull that up right now. The contested states that are still going on. How about that none of the overwhelmingly blue states that we knew were for Biden, a la your New York, a la your California, New Jersey, Washington, whatever. Notice there's no controversy or late ballots in any of the blue states either, that it's only red states or swing states that we even had a problem in any of these. I mean, is that not a coincidence to anybody? How come we didn't have any of these problems where we know it still would have went for Biden, but there was still a problem? Isn't that ironic to anybody that it's only those states? That seems strange.
Swing states that are ruled by blue, Democratic, left style management, all of them failed.
How is it that North Carolina and Georgia are not done counting yet? Those were over. Georgia, you know that Georgia was in the first crop of states that reports at 7 p.m.? Georgia was in the
well, the whole East Coast.
Yeah,
they're polling. We're coming up now. Florida time on this Friday, and it's 5:30. It's already getting dark. The ballots close at 7 o'clock, so it's almost now 4 days.
Yeah. Well,
you have a Tuesday night, you have Wednesday night, you have Thursday night, and now you have
how are some of these? How is this not done?
Yeah.
So here's the thing. Well, this is why it's not done. This is why you're cheating. This is where the cheat comes in. Everybody should know that mail-in ballots open the door to malfeasance and cheating. It's just a fact, and it could be for either side. We're just saying that there can be cheating involved, and the bottom line is that it's a lot harder to cheat when you need people actually walking in and voting in person with an ID. I know that sounds crazy. It's racist in some states to require an ID of somebody who wants to vote. But there's so much less of a headache or a problem. Now, sometimes when it's on an electrical machine, there can be a problem because they'll flip your vote. So, that's a problem. You don't get a receipt for your vote. So there are other problems. but not to the level of what you can do with mail-in ballots in envelopes. And the reason what's even more egregious than Pennsylvania was Georgia and North Carolina and all these states saying, we're just stopping. That's it. We're stopping for the night. We're not counting anymore. And you wake up the next morning and there's 200,000 votes now added on. Like, Jesse, can you imagine that you were playing a video game, you went to bed, left it paused, and you woke up and your score's 200,000 points higher? Like, you'd shit. Like, what's going on here, whatever. Nobody seems to find that there's a problem with this.
Well, especially in the hours that they were supposedly, the coverage stopped. There was no more streaming, from these different states. So there was no press to monitor. And within that 4 a.m., whatever it was, when they called it quits, to whenever the cameras came back in the morning. And those 3 or 4 hours, they did, according to now how many votes in each, if there's, say, 100 people voting for easy arithmetic, let's say they're doing 1,000 a day. Well, these people did about 10,000 each in a night.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, these people just turned the equivalent of 2 days of work counting in 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah.
And of course, just the ratio, 100,000 to 0. Like, there's not there. So in all those extra ballots, none was a vote for Trump. Amazing.
That's the other thing, that all these get done, and this guy's getting 100% of the votes, and then you find out in Wisconsin that the percentage rate of Democrat turnout in Wisconsin was like 88%. Can you imagine that 88% of the constituents came out to vote? That's impossible. It's 55%. That is such an anomaly of a number. And why Wisconsin of all places, where it's cold? Are you fucking serious?
You have to look at the historical data. States on, based on every 4 or 2 years, every gubernatorial election and every general election. So pretty much every 2 years, people have this duty, this right, this privilege even. And for them to not go out there, I don't know, that's beside the point. But I think Florida's always been about 65% historically.
Mm-hmm.
We get that many voters. And I think it's kind of like that, likewise across the board. There may be some that maybe I don't think any state is actually in the 80th percentile, but they all flirt between 60, 70, maybe low 80s, and so exactly what the turnout's going to be every 2 years,
right,
for these people. And straight up anomaly. I'm not sure what Georgia did 2 years ago for the governor race or whatever the Senate race was 2 years ago, but I promise you it wasn't this. And I know in the Trump Clinton 2016 election, the number wasn't this.
Right.
So states are showing 20% improvement in the amount of activity and the amount of votes in just a couple years' time.
And then
that's never happened.
No, absolutely. So that's another more proof of some of the problems there. And then you had states where these Republicans were retaining Senate seats and adding in Congress, and and Trump's losing on those in those states in some of these. It's like no, that doesn't go that way. One usually, and it's a fall down. One dictates the other, dictates the other. The other two don't dictate that. But if those two went that way, you're sure as shit that the presidential one went that way as well. So, folks, you're talking about 5 states that are still here to decide this, in case you don't really know what's going on. Arizona, Pennsylvania, Georgia, North Carolina, Nevada.
Well, Pennsylvania and Arizona would like you to think that it's for Biden. They publicly said it's for Biden.
Arizona was called the only channel. So social media gave out a list of 7 networks and media organizations that were allowed to call this these states, so to speak. And Fox News was one of them, oddly enough. Imagine that. And Fox News was the only, did you know this, that they were the only media organization to call Arizona when they did? No one else called Arizona and took it back. So Fox gave Biden Arizona, and Brett Baer has this back and forth with the head of the election for Fox, the guy who makes the declaration of, all right, send it to them at the counter. We're making a prediction on a state, and Brett Baer has him on, and he's like, but I don't understand, how are you giving him Arizona yet we can't even give Trump Georgia? And the guy's like, he gives his typical bullshit lines or whatever, and And then after he gives his line, he's like, "I'm sorry," and Brett Barry was like, "What are you sorry for? Like, why are you apologizing?" He's like, "You're just reading the result, whatever." He's sorry because he is a known Democrat donor and supporter who Fox News has making their decision desk for what state's going to get reported. And in this case, Arizona reported early to disenfranchise Nevada voters in that it's not looking good. And the sad part is, Jesse, first of all, if you were planning on going out to vote, you shouldn't look at any news that's going to stop you from going. I don't give a shit what any of that is. If you're serious about your vote, you should do that anyways. But the fact that even if 1% or 0.5% of a lot of people, if that even means 500 people don't go, that's a fucking problem. And that's where it works. It's not affecting 5 million people, and it's not affecting 50,000 people. But even if 500 people refrain from going to vote because of the news they got on TV, or like your state's been declared, certainly if your state, somewhere near you is declared and you figure like, well, ours is going to go the same way, whatever. That is a problem, and that's what happened with the Arizona declaration. And then everybody just stopped.
Right. Because the whole West Coast is an hour behind them. So if they're giving results at, say, 8 o'clock, 8:30, 9 o'clock Eastern time, it's still 4 o'clock out west, or 5 o'clock. They still have a couple more hours to vote.
Exactly.
So it's
that.
It's super crucial. And then get this, most of the East Coast is, way been in bed for probably a couple hours, and you still have Alaska and Hawaii all the way out there towards Asia.
Right.
8-hour difference or whatever it is, and they got a whole, like, they're waking up to the news that we're pretty much broadcasting at as the polls close at 7, and as some of the first numbers start to roll in, 10%, 20% reporting, kind of things, and they're going through there. Well, it's you don't think that's going to influence them? Oh, and by the way, Alaska still is gray as well. So of all the gray undecided, still pending states, Alaska is one of them. They only got 3 electoral votes, but they're out there, and for some reason, I guess the caribou are taking their time getting it from town to town, I guess.
At the end of the day, that has a big hand in changing how people go about voting. And you're right, the time change is a major factor in what people's attitudes are going to be as they see what's already happening. And it also is a real bitch if you like football, because can you imagine you have to wake up at 10 in the morning, like the games are starting at 10 in the morning? Like, that sucks. 10, 11, 12, 1. 10 a.m. your first kickoff. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
Are you fucking serious? Like, especially if you have some sort of social life on Saturday or whatever, and now the games start at 10 in the morning. Ugh, I can't even imagine. I'm not even a football fan as much anymore, but I can't even imagine life with 10 a.m. football.
They probably just record it and watch it commercial free.
Yeah, I mean, you can.
They just fast forward.
Yeah, you certainly can.
They still watch at 4 o'clock, but it's a much more abridged version.
Let's do this. We'll check out some of these topics that are coming up here. So News Wars. This is Alex Jones. Alex Jones went to Arizona to fire people up, whatever, because Arizona is still, it's being counted, and that one might flip to Trump. Whether that's going to matter or not, I don't think it's going to matter either way, but that one might flip. Michigan audit, 47 counties using software that led to 6,000 votes in one county switching. So this is the problem you have with some of the computerized voting systems. By the way, I've always made a little anecdote, and I know I've done this on my podcast before. Can you imagine that you live in a country where you can go to Burger King and get a receipt that has tons of information on your purchase, the date, the time, the credit card used, the store number, the manager, the order, whether any changes to the order, anything you can think of that is an etch in time of that order. You get a written declaration of a cheeseburger, but you don't even get one for your vote. You don't even get a receipt to prove that you voted. You get a sticker, because that's how stupid they really think you are, that you actually prefer the sticker and a lollipop. Rod Blagojevich, Democrats committing, by the way, was a Democrat, committing widespread voter fraud, Trump guy now, Never seen on such a magnitude. So he gave a what is that? Is that CNN even? What is he on there? Blagojevich, so he gives his take or whatever. So, and we, I'm not to say that this guy, Newsmax, after having 8 years of himself, he has insight. It's a time-honored tradition in big Democratic-controlled cities like Chicago, my hometown, Philly, to do precisely what they're doing now. So, thank you. I've never seen on such a magnitude. This is an indication of just how widespread this is, how deep it is. I don't think it's confined to Philadelphia. No, it's in every major city. This was the point of the COVID leading to the mail-in voting. This was all part of the plan. You need to be able to stuff ballot boxes and do this. All right, you can jump out of this one here. Just page back to the news. Okay, Patriots announced a Stop the Steal protest. So there's now some protesting going to begin. So at least 21,000 dead on Pennsylvania voter rolls. By the way, that's so common. That's so common. They don't clean these up. They don't clean these up. All of these get filled out. That's pretty amazing. A lawsuit filed by the PILF, Public Interest Legal Foundation, alleges there's 21,000 dead on Pennsylvania voter rolls. They failed to reasonably maintain their voter registration records. So there you go. They don't do their diligence. By the way, this is left on here on purpose so that you can then do this. You can jump out of this.
All right, where to?
Yeah, let's just see what else is on this homepage. Scroll down a little bit, please. Postal worker. I'm just going to read the headlines. We don't have to jump in. Spirit Airlines flight attendant threatens to have people who don't wear masks arrested. Look at that. So expect a lot of that, folks. If you think that with no Trump in office that these sort of things are going to crank up, they are. Because masks are going to be mandatory. Biden campaign, and so this is the new talking point too on everything. We will throw you out of the White House, buddy. We will remove you with force. That's being thrown around in a funny way already with the media. Here you go. Why does Biden have so many more votes than Democrat senators in swing states? And I'll tell you why he does. Because when they're stuffing these in, they're just filling out the president one. So the vote count is going to be extremely higher because the other categories and the other people to vote on are not being filled out. This is just about fucking with the presidency. Israeli minister warns of war in Middle East if Biden wins. Mob attacks Portland City Commissioner's home. Of course, defund the force voted down. How about that in that area? Chinese yuan rallies to a 28-month high. Looky at that, folks. Look at that. 28-month high on the prospect of a Biden win. Why do you think that would happen? Well, because Trump is tough on China and Biden takes dirty money from China. He is a filthy, corrupt, slimy, lifelong politician who's selling us out to China for his own profit and gain. And also part of a globalization effort to really ruin this country, part of a socialist agenda that they are putting in motion as we speak. Cruz election officials are defying the law and trying to steal the election. Yeah, we pretty much figured that. We know that. It's not your job. Debate sparks on unbiased journalism after news broadcasters cut away. Yeah, they're done with this guy. Scroll down a little bit, and then we can probably even close this one out. So yeah, you can close this one out. Let's see. Yeah, what do we got on Breitbart? So Breitbart, Rush. I have not conceded anything. Maybe he went on that show. Look at this. Joe takes the lead in Pennsylvania and Georgia. This is on Breitbart. So this is obviously telling you something here. Criminalize political speech, prepaid absentee ballots. Trump, I will fight. Michigan Republican down 104 votes. Yeah. So here you go. This is a good example of, that he's going to fight. DOJ probes alleged voter fraud in Nevada. Hashtag war. Summon GOP goes soft. Yes. They are on purpose. A lot of GOP and Republicans are jumping off of the Trump train right now as we speak, to protect themselves as they feel this guy is now done for. So you're gonna learn who the real rhinos are. Here, take a look at this map. Maybe scroll down so we can see that. Perfect. So, there's your states. That it's the ones that you knew. The matter of fact, it's funny. Breitbart is not giving Wisconsin or Michigan on this map, which are already given to Biden pretty much everywhere else.
This may be delayed.
Yeah. So Pennsylvania, those are the states that we know that are still up for grabs. Keith Olbermann with some more craziness that he's talking about. Pelosi vows Congress will pass election reform bill. Imagine. So, of course, she will. She may be out of her position. Supposedly, there was some information. There was something leaked. They are not happy with her. I don't know if I'd rather have her but if she's going to come out, someone in the squad's going in or someone that is squad affiliated. I mean, you have to ask yourself, if Pelosi's not going to stay in, who's that, old-timey Democrat, with all those years of experience, then where are they looking to go? If it's not her, I mean, it's squad, right? I mean, that would make sense to me. That's the angle you're going. By the way, the squad added another member to their little group. A official Black Lives Matter out of Missouri, not just a supporter of it, but an actual member of BLM, the whole organization. Corey Davis is now the newest member of the squad. She's probably going to be as vocal as any of them, and so get ready for that. I think I've mentioned this before. So if Trump is gone, if they really get this guy out, if the coup is completed, I think, and I predicted this before, that Trump will start a media network, an empire, Trump News Network. I think you're going to get a TNN. And what he's going to do is he's going to do these rallies all the time. So it's going to be a counterculture. This is not going to go away. By the way, also, if you didn't know this, Trump can run again. I mean, I think it's too late. I don't think Trump, if they can fix this election on Trump running again, he's not going to win. So let's not all get excited about that, because people have been floating that like, hey, you can run in 2024. Fuck all that, man. What's going to happen in 4 years? Fuck all that. And do you really think they're going to let this guy fucking legitimately win an election now as an outsider when they just robbed him while he was the insider in the White House? I mean, come on, use your fucking brains. Anyone that you hear telling you about a Trump 2024, that is wishful thinking. I mean, I hope you got 10 Bibles in your hands, because you're going to need every one of them. You know what I mean? This guy's not fucking losing and coming back. TNN, Trump News Network, rivals CNN. Fox is done. If you're a Fox fan, they're done. They're not a Republican mouthpiece. And if they are, they're a Rhino mouthpiece. Fox is done. Okay? So you can forget it. All you have is your independents and who you might align with that. If you're a Crowder fan, or you're a Ben Shapiro fan, or you're a Glenn Beck fan, or you're a Gavin McInnes fan, or you're an Alex Jones fan. Do you watch Newsmax? Are you OAN? So there's lots of options. Rebel News Network, name dropping everybody. So you have options on that side. But I think Trump will have the largest base of a media empire that will be considered non-mainstream media. So now if he can stay out of jail, because I also think that if Trump, and you heard me say this as well, if Trump stays in the United States, I think they're going to try to put him in jail. I think this guy is going to get a litany of legal problems his way. And I don't know how he's going to, not being president, I don't know how he's going to deal with that. I really don't. I think that's going to be a big problem for him. So he may have to get out of this country, and he knows that as good as anybody. He may have to get out of this country to save himself. Can you imagine that? I think they're going to come after this guy. I think it's going to happen in New York is where it's going to happen. This state of New York, this court, I think that this is going to be a problem. I hope it's not. I hope he's safe. I pray for him and his family. But I think this guy, and he'll be able to poach from where he wants to poach, and he'll, and you're going to have a major network, and it's going to be this guy. If it comes down to this guy will be checking Biden all along the way. You will be getting the most information you can possibly handle from this. If you're QAnon people, by all means, because Trump definitely embraces the QAnon movement. He's playing silly with it. The media is fucking beating it up the same way what they do at Pizzagate. Of course, they're beating up everything that's against their side. Of course they would do that. They have the power to do that. Why wouldn't they do that? They're there to sway minds. It's propaganda. They're pieces of shit. So, of course, they're going to debunk QAnon or some way or whatever. Or the Proud Boys. Those are the new soup du jours. But, oh, and by the way, I think you'll see a platform for the Proud Boys. I think once Trump's not president, he could really put anything he wants on there because now it's a movement. What is that movement going to do? I don't fucking know. I mean, they're stealing an election right out from under our noses. So does any of it matter? What is the right going to do when this is stolen? Because they boarded up all the cities for the left when they were going to riot if they lost this. I mean, imagine. They were preparing like a fucking hurricane was coming because a human hurricane was coming. Of leftist, anarchists, opportunists, Black Lives Matter, just common dickhead assholes that were going to loot and riot and burn and pillage, and they were fully ready to do all of that, and prepared for that in this election. Notice none of that's happening, by the way. Why is that not happening? If where are the right-wing supremacists? Where are the white nationalists burning the cities down that they kept telling you? Imagine how egregious that fucking lie is, too, by the way, that white nationalists are doing any of this, that the Proud Boys. Where are the fucking Proud Boys burning anything down in any of these cities? Somebody fucking tell me that. Somebody tell me where these people are. Show me the fucking violence right now in Portland because of what they're doing to Trump. Somebody show this to us. These people are fucking liars. It is disgusting. It is fucking, it's not even funny. I take it so seriously. It consumes me. And it should consume everyone else more than it does. You don't got to get to my level. I mean, I'm fucking probably batshit crazy, but like, it's got to do more to you. Like the right has, like, what's the result of this when it's stolen? What do? You just take it on the chin like you did in 8 years of Obama? Well, you just close your eyes, man, and let them slide it in. Bend over. Just close your eyes. It'll be over. It'll be over soon. It's not over soon. It's all back on track for a very, very terrible, terrible ride down. That was always the plan. So that's Breitbart. Go to Project Veritas, Jesse. So, I mean, if you want a silver lining in this, maybe we have some things that are going to save us or help us here. So these are top stories. Go just back to their homepage on here. Is this, or scroll up maybe? Yeah, here we go. Okay. So these latest stories that you're seeing here, scroll a little more down. Yeah, perfect. These are what, I mean, this is obviously going to be used to prove in some of the ways some of this fraud's happening. So, Postal Service Inspector, Erie, Pennsylvania, postmark whistleblower. I told them what I told you, third post. So they've had all these people from the post office are talking about the malfeasance they're doing. There's backdating. They're backdating some of the ballots. And then, there's people that are throwing these away, tearing them up. If they know they're from a Republican district, which they are informed that it is a Republican district, they let that carrier know. They'll fucking throw it all away. They'll just throw the whole thing in the garbage or burn it, whatever. How do you like that? How do you like that? Can you handle that? Is that acceptable for you? So this is the guy that's fighting for us here with this. ballot chaser, both legislators in my pocket. I'm getting the Biden vote out. But I mean, I'm not going to do it for free. I'm looking at $55,000. This woman for the entire team. Imagine that. So, okay, so yeah, so they've got he's going to the USPS and finding malfeasance there. How about this? Let's change gears here for a second. Part of what makes all this shitty and scary is that you're putting in Joe Biden, who's a criminal. And the reason why we know Joe Biden is a criminal and that social media won't allow you, I mean, by the way, we talked about censorship, how bad that's gotten now in this election. How we talked about that Twitter has already censored 6 Donald Trump tweets in 24 hours. Have we talked about that? Do you know that they want to, Donald Trump will not be on Twitter when he's not president. They will ban him from Twitter. They'll just TOS him till he loses his account. You are aware of that, right, everybody? Donald Trump will not be on Twitter. He'll have to go to another platform. So, hello, Gab. Hello, Gab. Donald Trump's coming soon enough. Soon enough. So you'll be getting a lot of traffic. I wonder if Gab can handle when Donald Trump is removed from Twitter. And it's already being called for, by the way, by Hollywood. They're already, like, as soon as this guy's not president, you're getting fucking rid of this guy, right? So everybody, mark my words that I said that. Donald Trump will be off of Twitter soon enough. So that's why he has to start his own news network as well. But going back, the corruption of Biden, the Hunter Biden laptop that they found, I don't think people really understand how bad this thing was. The Hunter Biden laptop, well, you have all the sex and the drugs, and then you have all of the incest and the CP, apparently, that's on there. This guy has no problem getting naked around younger girls, sending them selfies. So Hunter Biden, if you didn't know, and why would you, he's hung like a porn star. Hunter Biden has a solid, what would you say, Jesse, 9? It's measured a bunch of times. You don't remember. Of course you don't. I remember. This guy's packing 9. And he's very proud of it. It's also, it's like a pencil, by the way. He's got 9, but he's, he's definitely, he's not, ladies know. But at the end of the day, this guy's very proud. He's banging everybody. Guy loves prostitutes. He loves his drugs, man. Hunter Biden has a knack for, he loves taking pictures of his dope. I don't know if you caught that. He loves taking pictures of his crack on the scale. Like, yeah, he did me solid 3.7. Like you got to advertise that. Who are you taking that fucking picture for? Who are you sending that to? I guess maybe the whore he's going to see that night. Like, yeah, I landed. She's like, did you get anything, HB? Did you land? Yeah, I got it. Prove it. Picture fucking dope on the scale. I don't know. But this guy, so the rumors are that he slept with Malia Obama. There apparently was the Malia Obama credit card with the Coke lines and all that made rounds on the internet. That's from Hunter Biden's, that's on Hunter Biden's laptop, along with what seems to be Malia Obama. She has this mole, like this beauty mark on her thigh. It's like a brown, fairly large, not tremendously, but it stands out because there's no other markings. And someone like her is getting, something's going down on her. Yeah, this is it. I was told maybe to use DuckDuckGo. So, so in case folks you didn't know, this is where you can get it. You can see. This is where it's at. And this is Chinese subterfuge on this family. They've tied in. I mean, it's just amazing what's going on with this guy. Yeah, who knows, audio, whatever. But at the end of the day, there is tons and tons of money being exchanged, business deals. Joe's getting a piece of it. They call him the big guy. They make sure that he's never used a name. The money never shows up to him. His brother is cleaning his money. The family cleans his money. He's got money somewhere. Trust me when I tell you. But what you come to find out from this laptop, which, by the way, if you remember, they said was a Russian situation. But I meant to ask you this. This is a perfect also segue. Did you notice that no Russian interference with this election, huh? Have you not heard one time, right?
It all went away magically.
Is any of this Russian interference what's happening now?
Well,
why wouldn't it be?
I thought, based on all these liberals' talking points and rhetoric, where was Putin? I thought Putin was going to help him out. Yeah. And all of a sudden, the Russians didn't show up either?
Yeah, they've been selling the Russian interference for 2 elections now, told you full blast that they were interfering in this one without any proof, obviously,
right.
Because they're not. Where's the interference?
If Trump was so friendly to Putin and his boys.
Not delivering it.
How come the KGB couldn't interfere?
I'm asking an appeal here.
All of a sudden.
But, yeah, where is the Russian interference, folks? I mean, you bought that. Everybody bought that. And they prepared you for telling you that there was going to be Russian interference again in this election. So where's the Russian interference? I think that's a fair question, right? That's fair. Well, we don't put any because there's a nudie there. So, I mean, Hunters, there's just this guy. I mean, listen, is this guy having a fun life? Absolutely. I mean, this guy is living, what a life he is living off of his daddy's legacy. But this guy is pocketing big cash. This guy is sleeping with a lot of women. And not only is he had sexual, this guy had a full-on affair, a relationship with his brother's wife, but apparently not just the brother's wife's sister. Hunter Biden, I'm convinced that women just all want to give a spin to this guy's 9. He's not that charming because I've listened to some of his stuff and he's kind of like he's a nervous sort, in my opinion, when I listen to him. He's very nervous and his voice is a little whiny. The things that he says, the things that you read, the business dealings, they're so dirty. They are dirtier than anybody. They may be because the rumor also is that this guy also has had an affair with his 14-year-old niece. And then about the diary that was found where the daughter is like, I took inappropriate showers with Joe. I feel like now looking back, they were inappropriate. You think? How about any shower with your daddy's inappropriate? Let's start there. Let's start with that you showered at all. But yeah, maybe by 13 it's inappropriate. 11, 8. What is the cutoff point that you shower with your father? Somebody please send me that. What is the age where you should no longer be showering with your father? Male or female? But female, probably worse. I used to shower with a guy that said he was my father, but he wasn't. So that was that was eye-opening. That was tough. It was tough to find that out. He also had the biggest loofah on a stick that I've ever. I mean, what a lather. This guy really could work up a lather. Folks, I don't know, Jesse, how much you got a counter on what we've been doing? Where are we at? We're all right for a minute? I started off this podcast sad. I am still sad. I'm angry. I'm sad. I'm ready to fight, man. I don't know if that is that bad for me to say. I'm ready to fight. If it comes down to it, I mean, this is where we're at now. I don't know. I mean, are they going to take this from us? Are they going to really do this? Do you understand what happens? Thank God. Thank God. They kept the Senate. They actually gained, I think, in the House, perhaps. I mean, certainly Democrats didn't gain anything. There were some flips. So it's not like Biden's going to have free reign, folks. Let's make that clear. But it's bigger than that. It's not just what he can legally do, I was telling people, Jesse. It's about the arrogance of society now knowing they're in charge. It's going to be about the unwritten rules of how you have to be. It's like social media censoring now is going to be rampant of the other side's opinion. I don't know how much more they can do. It's going to be, I think it's the societal things, in my opinion, that are going to be the problem here. What do you foresee? Do you think, just your opinion, do you think he's going to lose? I mean, where's your gut on this?
If it's up to the media, and the media wants to be 100% in charge of this.
Right.
That's why Fox did what they did, just to test the waters. How far can we get away with? Because it's all a game to them. Who could be the first one to reveal the winner?
Imagine if they name the winner. Like, there is no White House group that names this. Or
Right.
you know what I mean? It's not even a political group that names the winner.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? The media names the winner. Imagine that.
Right.
What kind of power they have. Go ahead.
So beyond them, again, challenge. To my point, they all want to be first. They're all trying to get the best sources, this and that. They all got insiders, and they're all trying their best to get it right the first time. So they really want the power to be in charge, so nobody questions their authority. Because if they're all wrong all the time, then you're gonna be like, okay, media, you have no right to do this. But because they do push so hard, and they'll even invite professionals on there, the people who are boots on the ground, just to legitimize them as being the authority. So it's not like we're listening to the boots on the ground people, the frontline people, the people who have been in charge of voting areas and the processes in these local areas in Georgia, Nevada, but they bring them on there almost to seem like they're just reaffirming their guesses.
Right.
So let's bring on Tabitha. She's on the ground in Georgia. Tabitha, what do you see there? Well, they're this and that. We already have some GOP saying that we're locking them out and this and that. Okay, see, and then they're going to turn to the audience like, that's what we've been saying the whole time. We knew this was going to happen, and it's just going to legitimize all of their theories, all of their opinions, and it's the worst kind of journalism. So yeah, it's not going to get any better.
Right.
How much are they going to squash any kind of conservative? I'm not sure I'm not sure if big tech is just going to back off now that they got what they wanted, or if they're going to continue on this mission just because nobody's stopping them. And now there's even less of a resistance. At least Trump would call them out. Now there's nobody's going to call them out. They're not going to be accountable to anybody.
Might even be welcoming it. Not only not calling them out, but
they'll be encouraging it.
Yeah, because it's in their favor. Yeah, I don't think that stops. I think they've already conditioned us to it, so now they can crank it up like real 1984 shit, to where you might not even be allowed on that platform. Right now, they're silencing you. At some point, maybe they start banning you. Right now, maybe they don't want to purge those people because those numbers are too big, so the numbers are more important. So we'll accept our enemies on there, but maybe at one point they start purging people of that thought process and just be done with them.
I talked to a friend. She was a admin for a veterans group, 600 people. Her Instagram, her Facebook and her Instagram and the group all disappeared.
No shit.
And every member of that veterans group disappeared. Their whole profile was taken down as well.
Huh.
Yeah. She's very upset. She has,
This just recently happened?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
no warning, no nothing.
And she has exactly. Never a warning, never a reason.
And by the way, Facebook has no customer service. Like, for as big as a thing, like, you can't call Facebook with any problems you have with it.
No, they don't.
People don't know that.
They don't have a 1-800 number, people.
No, they do not. And they're a company. Like, you always hear they're a private company. They can do anything they want. They're a private company. Private company.
They're public. They're traded.
Right.
They're a public company. As a shareholder, you should be able to pick up a phone and call somebody and say, "Hey, as a shareholder, I've an inquiry, whatever." I mean,
Absolutely.
You could demand to audit their books. You have a lot of privilege.
People are doing real business on there.
You have a lot of privilege as a shareholder. You could demand some things on the spot.
But when I say the private company thing, it's because whenever they're getting defended by why they're allowed to censor, people always say, well, they're their own company. They're allowed to do that because it's not a government company. So, yes, You're right. While they're publicly owned and traded, they're still, a private entity. They're a non-governmental entity, whereas a government would, an entity like that would have to. But again, that's the argument of, is this a utility at this point?
And it is. I think it has been bred to become a utility. People still think it's a free speech, a place to connect with friends, a place to stare at, silly cat gifs. But now we're realizing it's being weaponized. Like everything else, it's being weaponized. I would be very, very, very skeptical of sharing anything.
I mean,
politically.
How about I agree. How about all along it was a data. Now I'm going to draw a blank. But this was a data collection center. See, that's what I'm thinking. I mean, all along, that's what it really, really was. It's just the flip side is like, it's how you see it on your side of the net and how they see it on their side of the net. And how they see it was, this was all about data collection. People, Facebook specifically, before Facebook went public, before they were this monolith, the question Wall Street always had was, well, you don't make any money. How do you make money?
Yeah, how are you going to monetize?
You're free.
Right.
So that was always the big question. And this guy was like, relax, wait and see. And the big thing is it was data collection. Mm-hmm. So the money was in, look at all this information I'm giving you, governments. Mm-hmm. Look at all, and then they realized they could also sell it to companies. Look at all this information I've gotten for you, companies. So they started doing it. So that's how it can really make money. But they were always like, well, how can you make money off the end user, though? You got all these users.
Right.
Yeah, that's great. People will buy data from you, which is, by the way, how Facebook made its money originally. Then they became, and this is where the utility comes in, the advertising. Right. Just like Google ads. And the monopolistic way they run their advertising situations, which, by the way, we've talked about this in previous podcasts. Nothing cryptocurrency related is allowed to advertise on there. So you know what I mean? So they have their own interesting rules, whatever. And then with political ads, because it became such a pointed tool, especially for narrower minds, in my opinion, that use Facebook for any sort of real news getting or political news or whatnot and this and that, because they're obviously on Facebook so much, this now becomes the conduit you're going to get it from. You got to just take 1 second to get it from somewhere else. It's not that big a deal. But they realized that they had a lot of power even in that. So how their political ads were done and the hoops you had to jump through. So it's quite fascinating. But yeah, they've really carved a niche for themselves in how important they are in steering all of this. And that's Facebook, that's Google, that's Twitter. They are steering minds, and they definitely have stifled the other side, and they will continue to probably now with just reckless abandon even.
And they're unapologetic for it. They're not going to say, oh, we really didn't mean to do that. They're like, oh, we got caught, darn.
Yes, or they lie and say, yeah, it was an oversight. That was a big one. Jack Dorsey specifically to the New York Times one. So, folks, if you didn't really know how bad the censorship was.
Oh, New York Post is...
the New York Post, thank you. They would censor people, and they may censor certain tweets, but we watched them censor a real news outlet on the Hunter Biden story. That's crazy. You censored the oldest paper in the country.
Congrats.
Yeah. You actually took their
Way to go,
page down. Yeah. And then what's crazy is in front of the Senate, he says, no, that shouldn't have happened. That was wrong. That was an overreach. And yet they still never took them. They never put them back up.
No penalties.
I mean, not only, penalties. Imagine that. What is the recourse for Twitter to just shut you down, but because it was a mistake or whatever? The power that they have to do that, it's really sad. And really the other sad part is that the amount of power that they have not only to do that, but why should it matter that no one reads your fucking tweets? Well, I guess it does matter because so many people are dependent on this, and that this is such a way of life for them, social media, that it has to be up and going. It has to be to convey your messages. But that's kind of sad in and of itself, that it is that necessary that we have these tools out there, that they must be going at all times for us to be able to get the word out or do what we had. But I guess that's where we're at. I mean, that's how you cover a larger base of people with information. And that's why Trump utilized it the way he did. Trump knew that he can't totally rely on the media to convey his message. And so how else is he going to do it? He could send email bulletins and email stuff, whatever, but nobody reads those or wants that. So he found Twitter was a great way to blurb it out, blurb it. and be able to do it whenever you want, any time of the day, and the convenience of doing it on your phone and all that. Quite fascinating what an important tool Twitter's become in terms of spreading messages, good and bad. But I always knew when they were talking about this was who was going to be the arbiter of what was hate speech or what was bannable or of any of these things. Who determines what books are bannable? Who determines what music is bannable? All these sort of things we've gone through in our time. Folks, this is really how sad it is, and maybe we can close on this note based on where we are. We've watched throughout time things get banned. They stoned witches. They killed Jesus Christ because he was different and bad, and he was counterculture. And the witches were counter to what people believed, and they've been banning books from the beginning of just civilized gathering where people are even reading. As long as books are being printed, they ban books. We went through times where the religious right wanted to ban music and TV and movies. Me and Jesse, my friend here in the studio, are old enough to remember a time when we were young when the religious right was trying to ban everything. Ozzy Osbourne and Two Live Crew and Judas Priest. There was a major rock band that was actually up for their freedom. They were researched the Judas Priest trial, that some kid tried to kill himself to a Judas Priest song, and they were going to literally put the band in jail. Remember that? That's how far we've come. We're getting worse. And it's funny because it flipped from the right to the left. That's even more crazy, is it, that society even flipped the political affiliation of now who wants to silence everybody. That's fucking nuts. It's bonkers.
Well, I think mostly what we saw was a Republican administration while the Vietnam War was going on. And, it was already a very embarrassing, a very clumsy, conflict that was going on miles and miles away, and people weren't having it. And you did have more media, more stuff was coming from overseas than in World War II or any other previous war. So of course people saw the images, and it was horrific. And of course, when the soldiers came back, they were not greeted well, and you had a lot of anti-war music, War Pigs by Ozzy Osbourne.
Right.
This was a very controversial song, because it talked about war pigs want the power. I mean, you look at the lyrics; it's a very anti-war song.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of those the similar artists were also considered. Ozzy. I grew up thinking this guy would worship the devil because he bit off the heads of bats.
Yes.
And it was because they wanted to villainize these people because of a song that criticized the conflict in Vietnam.
Right.
And so that's how all that started. And of course, there was a lot of other counterculture angst, punk rock in the late 70s.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, you had, all kinds of bands, kind of not being so polite, and talking against the establishment.
Which punk was big on.
Well, it was massive.
Yeah, it was like the whole crux of it, in a sense. Social.
Super bad. It was, and of course, so you had, all these different anthems getting villainized, that these bands were producing, and even the Beatles were coming across as, when John Lennon and Oko, started getting, very anti-war. There was even like a bad stigma put against the Beatles, everybody's favorite,
the Beatles, yes,
from their Liverpool Four. People were getting upset about them because they were joining the counterculture, the peace-loving hippie movement.
Yeah.
So it was fascinating.
And then and you're from South Florida, so with Two Live Crew was an interesting one because that was the first time where then sex became, because you're right, the social issues before were war related and satanic panic and things like that. But then with Two Live Crew, we got for the first time obscenity on a sexual level of that it needed to be banned or stifled or stopped.
And it wasn't hurting anybody. It was just a couple of guys explaining their fun, lavish lifestyle.
Right.
Hanging out with girls.
It was lewd. Yeah, it was definitely lewd. There's no doubt about it. But again, parents, you have to control what your kids listen to as best as you can.
But kids weren't putting their cats in the microwave and stuff. It wasn't. wasn't violent. You know, if anything, kids got curious, like, well, you know, what is this thing they're talking about so much?
Yeah, well, how, Mom? Why is she so horny? What kind of voice is that? So horny? Yeah, it definitely was a curiosity. I mean, look, we have a generation now where they're eating Tide Pods, so I think listening to a little Two Live Crew, put her in the buck, is a lot less harmful than what a Tide Pod would do to your insides.
You got 8-year-olds, you know, who have already seen, you know, more pornographic images than any rightful kid in our generation.
Sure.
You know? I wasn't even sure I saw a periodical that had suggestive images until I was probably 12.
Yeah.
Now these kids have all kinds of outlets.
Yeah, I mean, think about
It's almost hard to avoid all of
it's
the
almost
pop-ups.
impossible, especially with a cell phone. I mean, Pornhub is just one. It's the same as just hitting an app, whatever. Yeah, I mean, me and you come from an era where I'm going through my dad's National Geographics, just looking for a Ugandan, a sexy Ugandan princess, you know, hoping that she has no shirt on.
A topless tribe.
Yeah, a topless tribe. I'm hoping for, you know, the sexiest tribeswoman. And now kids have Pornhub. And then for some of those kids, they're looking for that tribeswoman on Pornhub.
But it goes to show
So they get her moving.
what was bad to talk against 20, you know, now 40 years ago, say Vietnam. And now it's normal. I mean, you have Rage Against the Machine. You have a lot of anti-war, and it's almost celebrated. You know, the left, you know, they'll embrace you. You know, if you have something anti-establishment, you know, they love it. You know, you can burn down the cities. They'll have you on as, you know, to be interviewed. So in 40 years, you know, you couldn't even talk about, you know, being against you know, against a war and criticizing government. Now it's like, you know, some of these government officials celebrate with you. Same thing with like, you know, even 20, 30 years ago with the crude music. Now it's everywhere. I mean, pornography and crude and lascivious behavior is everywhere. Like you can't.
Oh,
you know,
yeah, it's a whole rabbit hole.
9-year-olds are wearing the little butt Daisy Duke, you know, high on the butt shorts.
Yeah.
You just you would never guess, you know. But now that we are at this place, you know, 2020 going to 2021. Nothing is shocking. Everything is less debatable. If you go against the media, you can, you know, they shame you for talking amongst yourselves, for gathering amongst yourselves, and you have people like Newsom over in California with his laundry list of things you can't do for Thanksgiving, like no more.
Oh yeah, I wish we brought that put that up. But yeah, do you remember some of the things he said? I do.
Well, yeah,
this is egregious and sick.
No more visiting than 3 hours. Like,
right,
you know, you can't have any gatherings of more than 3
has
hours.
to be outdoors. Dinner has to be outdoors for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, no more than 2 groups of 3 families. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
so arbitrary. Like,
Right.
How does this any make sense?
Well, the numbers make no sense, but the overreach of what they were telling you could do.
Right.
How many family members from what generation are allowed?
Right.
And then even bathroom breaks were divvied out.
Right.
Like, and you better sanitize said bathroom correctly. Who's policing all of this? And by the way, this is what you're ushering in, folks. The fact that even one governor is doing this should be very upsetting to everybody.
Yeah, so now you have all your freedoms. You could watch whatever you want. You could say whatever you want. You could do everything you want as long as it's not against the media and the big powers. You know, you have every outlet for being despicable and being as crude and you know, living in such decadence and everything else. That's not really, you know, that's okay. You know, drug abuse is a pre-existing condition, and people need to know that they can keep insurance and still do crack. And so it's like one of those things. You know, it's again, you can't do so many things. So even though they gave us a little more freedom as far as like freedom of speech, being able to see everything we want, touch or you know, watch anything we want, listen to whatever we want. What they're taking away is more of our fundamental rights.
Yeah.
You know, they're distracting us with, oh, okay, well, you know, we're not going to give you a hard time for listening to this kind of music or watching that kind of a video, but don't you ever say anything on Twitter or, you know, you're going to get shut down.
Right.
So, and it's not even like, you know, you could disagree with Trump. They encourage that. And you could disagree all day on Twitter, but as soon as you disagree with a Jack or you know, someone that they're trying to push, a Pelosi,
The powers that be.
you know, you say something to the wrong person or send the tweet, they'll shadow ban you. They're doing all kinds of malicious stuff.
It's funny you brought up Rage Against the Machine, and like even Paul Joseph Watson said this a while ago, but now the right wing is the punk. That's why Johnny Rotten from the Sex Pistols and Public Image Limited was voting for Trump, because this guy's a true punk. This guy realizes like the anti-authoritarianism is coming from this side. Like this guy, if anybody knows, it's this guy. He made his whole career off of that. You know what I mean? Anarchy in the UK. This is a guy that was preaching anarchy from at a very, very young point in time. So, I mean, take his word. This guy's quite familiar with this. He's very savvy. As fried as he might seem to be to people from whatever his life has been, I'm sure he's done a lot of drugs and drinking and partying and whatever. So, maybe all the faculties aren't what they used to be, but this guy is well in tune with his opinion, and even he was supporting Trump. But it goes right in line with what you're saying. The right now is the minority. Raging Against the Machine, that's against Jerry Nadler. That's Nancy Pelosi. That's the military-industrial complex, which doesn't seem to even have they're both right and left. It doesn't matter. It's the Dems that want us in war, and it's the Republicans too. Trump was on his own in the non-war situation, the isolationism. I mean, do you understand that in the 4 years we weren't in war with this guy? And he wanted to bring troops home, and they wouldn't let him. And then he played a little game with Syria, and we got out of it. Notice there was never a conflict in Syria. We're going to have one now with Biden, folks. Mark my words. This guy is not about peace in the Middle East. This guy's going to reward now the military-industrial complex. It's back to the old ways in this country. We are fucking fucked. We're going to wrap it up on this note. We're not going down a good road. We are fucking fucked, okay? There's going to be war. You're going to see social agendas like crazy that you are not ready for. Black Lives Matter will be emboldened. Antifa will be emboldened. If you are white and you are male, the target gets bigger on your back. You may see more defunding of police in cities. Who knows? You're definitely going to see the attitudes towards the police is not going to get better. These things are going to now bounce that other way. They bounced that way with Trump. What do you think it's going to go like with Biden being there? The squad now is going to get louder. AOC is going to be more prominent. All of these people that you fucking hated are going to be in this guy's cabinet. This guy is a fucking puppet. Kamala Harris is going to be your president. They dropped this on us 25, 30 sound bites where they introduce her as the president, or it's the Harris Biden ticket. They fucking have told you so many fucking times, you stupid pieces of shit that voted and let this happen. You fucking fucked us. Kamala Harris, Kamala, doesn't matter how you pronounce her name. That's going to be the one who oversees shit, and even she's going to be a fucking figurehead for Soros. The squad is going to get powerful. Everything is bad. None of this is good. Buckle up. It may not go this way, but we're going to close out on this note. It is not a good time. If this guy loses, we're in trouble. You heard me say it before. We're only buying time with another 4 years anyways. It's one man. The swamp is big, and it's deep, and it's murky, and it's deadly, and it's bad. And I don't know what else more to tell you, man. Pray. Everybody pray. That's all we got now. That's the, you can bring it up. Sure, bring it up. Mr. Josh Podcast, Space Coast Podcast Studios. We're wrapping up another episode. Thank you for listening. We'll have it on YouTube as well. God bless, and keep the faith, man. Stand by.